Thank you so much for joining us today for the 15th installment of, or actually, I'm sorry, the 16th installment of Rav Kook Yomi. We are on the third teaching of the section on war in Sefer Orot, Rav Kook's magnum opus, and really, really beautiful work that we've been enjoying. Really enjoyed yesterday's teaching about biblical warriors. And in some ways, this is a continuation of that. So he says in the third teaching, he begins, Azavnu et politika ha'olamit mu'unas sheyesh bo ratzon pnimi. He said we, and when he says we, he means the Jewish people. The Jewish people have left world politics because it was me'unas, right? It was despised, it was impure, it was immoral. But there is a ratzon panimi, there is an inner will for this. There's an inner reason why we've done this. Arashir tavo et mu'ushra, right? And that this withdrawing from the world stage of world politics for the Jewish people is only a temporary measure until the time is rich or the time is right, that we rise up and rejoin the stage of world politics, determining our own destiny as the Jewish people in this way. Right? That we are able at that which point, so what does he mean by the right time to rise up and the right time for the Jews to enter back into having a nation and everything like this? He says at the time in which the Jewish people are able to lead the nation in a way and manifest it without having to do wickedness or barbarism, right? I think there's an idea that in order to have a nation in a previous period or in the last 2,000 years, you really had to do a lot of evil things. You had to be a tyrant. You had to do horrible, horrible things to get power. And that wasn't okay for the Jewish people to do. And so it's for that reason that the Jews did not have a nation state, right? To keep them far away from transgression and doing evil in the world. And at least what Rav Kook imagines, and again, he's writing from, the World War I, basically, right? So this is still 35 years or so, 40 years before the creation of the state of Israel. What he imagined, at least, was to create this unbelievable nation that is so morally refined and different and leads really a different kind of moral nation. I still believe that Israel is this at its best, at its most ideal times. Obviously, like any other real nation, they make mistakes, they do things that are wrong. The people who run Israel are human beings, trying their best like anyone else. So not to say that everybody they're perfect, but just, for the example, calling the IDF the Israeli Defense Forces, right? That it's a defense organization, even from the beginning. The original name for the IDF before it was the IDF, the Haganah, right? Hagen means to defend, not to go out and conquer, but to defend the Jewish people. And again, it goes back to saying, what is a moral war look like to really defend the Jewish people? And he says, without barbarism, right? Now, it's difficult because are we doing violence right now? Is the state of Israel doing violence? Of course. Yeah, there is violence. But that is not to say that it's barbaric, right? It would be barbaric if it was meaningless and it was just to kill just for a sense of killing or a sense of doing violence for the sense of doing violence. But it's for an existential purpose of the survival of the Jewish people in their homeland. So very, very important to say. And I think I really do believe in my heart of hearts that Israel and the IDF is trying to fulfill this vision that Rav Kook sets for us. But it's an ideal that we should rise up to, right? It's an ideal that we don't meet all the time, but an ideal that we should elevate ourselves to. But again, Rav Kook sees that the withdrawal from the Jewish people from nationhood for 2,000 years wasn't some kind of mistake. It wasn't some kind of just a punishment and it was less ideal state and that's it. But there was a reason. There was a divine intelligence. There was divine supervision of why the Jewish people didn't have a state at this period and why this is the appropriate time for the Jewish people to have a nation. Okay? So he continues and he says, he says, "Sheknei lag shimo muvana davar." It's understandable, the idea. Sheknei lag shimo anusrichim litorar b'kochotinu kulam. That in order to manifest the state of Israel, and in order to manifest the Jewish nation in the land of Israel, we need to awaken and use all of our potential powers, our abilities. Right? It's going to take everything. It's going to take everything within us. To use all of the tools that are available to us at this time to make this dream happen, right? And again, this really represents his Zionist religion, I'm sorry, not Zionist religion, his religious Zionism here, that it's not that we wait for God to do everything for us if we believe in God and we have faith in God, but rather we use everything that God gives us in this world, our intelligence, our know-how, our physical abilities, whatever they may be, in order to achieve God's will in this regard and to protect the Jewish people, to build this nation, right? That we should use every capable means for us and not just lie back and say, "Yeah, God will do it, God will make it happen," but rather we work. He continues. Hakol yad el bore kol ha'olamim menahelet, right? Every hand that God leads, right? And this is the belief from Rav Kook that through human action is of the Jewish people, God sort of lives through and manifests God's self through those things. And that's a really incredible responsibility that Rav Kook ascribes for the Jewish people. But he says that God's hand really guides us in this regard. Aval ichor hu ichor muchrach. But the delay in accomplishing this nation was required. Right? Because if we had the state earlier, right, there would be such terrible, terrible things that we had to do, that would have really destroyed us, and we would have became an evil kingdom just by maintaining power, right? We'd have ended up falling into wickedness. So therefore, the time has arrived. Karov meod, it's very close. Right? The world will become better, right? And harmonized, and we are preparing ourselves. Because now we're able to lead the nation of the Jewish people, of the state of Israel, according to moral principles, right? And to do actual good. Chokhmah, with wisdom, not, and he says, Hayosher va'era elokita brura, with integrity and with divine illumination that really gives us a lot of clarity. Yaakov shalach le'esav et porperia. This is a midrash basically that says that Yaakov sends Esav the purple banner, which was obviously the banner of earthly sovereignty. Well, purple is the color of royalty. Ya'avar, so he says, Ya'avar na Adoni lifnei avdo, right? May your servant pass before you, right? And Yaakov's saying this to Esav, giving him that authority. So why is he quoting this verse from Bereshit, from Genesis 33:14? It's really not worthwhile for Jacob, meaning the Jewish people, to really be busy with war all the time. Right? When war is just complete bloodshed, right? It doesn't make any sense for the Jewish people to be involved in that. It'll corrupt them. When it requires to be evil in order to win or fight a war. But we receive this foundation to do good and to be founded upon good, right? And to fight for the right reasons. And that should be the foundation of our nation. Since our race, our people, our tribe was pushed away from having any sovereignty, we were scattered amongst goyim, amongst non-Jews and foreign nations. Nizreinu b'mamkei adama. We were seated in the depths of the land and all over the place. This is a language from Shiurim, from songs, until the time of the turtle dove, until the time of the dove calls, and the time of cutting down Eta Zamir, which I think for Rav Kook probably means the time of destroying enemies and destroying evil, is heard throughout the land, right? And we are able to rise and be different, to be a different kind of nation. And Rav Kook really believed that this was the right time, that it was the right time for the Jewish people to use everything they have to found a nation, to run a nation, and that this nation could be run on ethical principles, on goodness, and that it wasn't the right time before. And something has changed about the 20th century. And I think it really shows again, like what Rav Kook is all about and what Rav Kook imagined for Israel. And in some places, I think this is so heartening because it shows us what Israel should really be and what Israel should strive to be and what Israel can be, what Israel has the capacity to be. But again, I think also a warning to the Jewish people when we run Israel, not being overly barbaric, to only do wars that are necessary. And it's hard. I think Israel's been in so many wars, and I don't know if Rav Kook would have ever expected there to be so much bloodshed and so much violence. And I wonder if he would repeat this teaching now and not just in the early 20s. I don't know. I can't talk to Rav Kook now. But I think we do see the hardness of being a nation, of falling into bloodshed, falling into barbarism, having to do evil to survive. And at least according to Rav Kook, this hasn't happened, right? And I think within the innerness of Israel, there never is a meanness to just kill and fight. But it really is an existential threat to the survival of the nation and the Jewish people as a whole. So very important, and again, great guiding principles for how we should think about Israel and what Israel should look like, and just really represents a lot of faith in how God supervises the world, and what Galut really was for, and why we were exiled, and why we didn't have power for so long, and really what is most important, which is really the moral fiber and the Jewish people's connection to God, and staying away from doing evil, right? That is always going to be the most important thing for Rav Kook, and obviously it should be for us too as well. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you joining us. We'll continue on Tuesday with Rav Kook Yomi 17. We'll continue on to the fourth teaching of Milchama, of war. Thank you so much for joining today. Please feel free to email me anytime, Rabbi Marcus Rubenstein at templeofaaron.org, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this today, and we'll talk soon. Shabbat shalom, everybody.